2025. It's 6:30 p.m. This is a regular meeting of the Governing Board of the Catalina Foothills School District. I'd like to note that welcome my board colleagues back after our July recess, even though we did have a July meeting at the end of the month. For those of you who are attending for the first time, or maybe new to the district or new to viewing our board meetings, we generally meet on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month during the school year, and these are meetings that are open to the public. On behalf of the governing board, I want to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting and let you know that there are members of the public who are attending in person, and some people might also be joining remotely through YouTube Live. In a few minutes, I'm going to read the rules of order for public comment at governing board meetings. If you wish to make a comment remotely, you should have signed up using the Google form that's available under the YouTube Live description. If you don't see that link to the Google form, you can refresh your YouTube live stream. If you are attending in person, there is a purple form, request to address the governing board, that's in the back of the room with Ms. Castro. We do have one person who has submitted a request. If there's anyone else who would like to speak, please grab that form, fill it out, hand it to our board secretary, Ms. Sams. The information that is on that form is required for our meetings. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Instead of indivisible, and I said around.
Item 1.3 on our agenda is the rules of order for public comment at governing board meetings. The governing board welcomes public comments at its meetings by providing 2 opportunities for the public to address the board. If your topic of interest is not on the agenda, you may address the board during the public comments time at the time slot near the beginning of the meeting. I'm very rusty, apparently. Or if the topic is on the agenda, you can speak just prior to the discussion of that agenda item. If you're joining remotely, you should have already submitted your Google form. And again, I have one request to speak here. Speakers will be called upon when it's your turn to address the board. And for those attending remotely, you may choose to enable your camera. And as a reminder to remote attendees who wish to speak, please unmute your microphone when you're called upon. Each speaker has 3 minutes to address the board. The sound of a buzzer indicates the end of that 3-minute time period. In the event of a large number of speakers, the board may need to limit that time so that we can conduct the business that is on this agenda. By law, the board cannot discuss, consider, or vote on topics that are not on the agenda. This assures the community that they are aware of the topics that will be discussed this evening. But if you wish to discuss a topic through written communication, board members' contact information can be found on the district's website. We appreciate the community's attendance at this meeting. Thank you so much for being here. Item 1.4 on our agenda is outstanding achievements, and for that we turn to Superintendent Denise Bartlett.
Thank you. We have 2 staff outstanding achievements to start the school year off. Our first one is our athletic director, Mr. Charles Pierce at the high school. He competed and won in his 4th national title at the United States Strongman National Championship. So it's his 4th national title.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. There was 500 elite athletes there, and he placed first. Here were some of his performances, which I don't even know what some of these are, but he carried a 950-pound yoke, 60 feet. Yeah, that goes across your shoulders. 320-pound log press, he did 6 reps of that. A 605-pound frame, he carried it 120 feet. A 750-pound frame hold for 16 seconds, and he did a sandbag toss over a 16-foot bar. So,
wow,
pretty impressive.
Very
yes.
impressive.
It's a true reflection of the excellence he brings to our campus every day, and we're glad that he is leading our Falcon athletes. We also have a teacher, Jocelyn Smers, who is currently the STEM integration specialist at Manzanita Elementary School. She was selected to participate in the White House Historical Association's Teacher Institute in Washington, D.C. So it included exclusive access to the White House. We have a picture of her at the Resolute desk.
That's amazing.
It's on the website. She had access to the Blair House. She had hands-on sessions with renowned historians and insights from former White House staff. She was one of only 6 master teachers who were selected to do this. She will also mentor fellow educators and share her innovative classroom strategies as a carry forward for this opportunity. But she's been in the Catalina Foothills School District now for, I believe, 5 years. She started at Canyon View, and this is her first year that she is transferring over to Manzanita. But she's known for creating inquiry-based lessons, and she believes deeply in the power of cross-curricular learning. So we're very proud of both of our outstanding employees for their achievements.
And it's always nice to recognize achievements of employees and it, as well as students.
Yes. Well, with it only being, day
Yes.
7
Yes.
of school,
Give them time. Give them a little time.
the achievements will come.
Yes.
They will. Thank you so much. Item 2 is our public comment time. As far as I know, nobody has signed up online, and as I indicated, we have one speaker to address us in person this evening, and that is Mr. Robles. If you'd like to come up and come to the podium, we'd be happy to hear your comments this evening.
Hello, guys. Thank you. That's awesome. Brain and brawn in one district, right?
I love that.
There you go.
150-pound goat.
Yes.
That is, I'm astonished. That's actually quite cool. I know who I'm picking for my team. Excuse me. Well, good evening, folks. Thank you again for having me here today. I come here today as a concern due to an issue I believe is critically impacting our school's learning environment, and frankly, the values we instill in our children. This is the consistent violation of our school's dress code. I understand that dress codes can be a sensitive topic, often met with arguments about self-expression and individual freedom. However, what we are witnessing is not creative individuality. As a matter of fact, it's blatant disregard for established rules, particularly concerning revealing clothing. We're seeing an increased number of students wearing attire that is far too revealing for a school setting. This will include midriffs exposed, excessively short shorts, skirts, tops that offer little no coverage, etc. This isn't about shaming anyone. This is definitely about maintaining an appropriate and respectful learning environment for all students, especially, I would like to point out, male staff members. I can only imagine how a lot of them can feel uncomfortable. When students wear revealing clothing, it creates unnecessary distractions. It creates the focus from academics to appearance, which is detrimental to the educational process. Our children are here to learn, to grow intellectually, and to prepare for future success, and not to navigate a distracting social environment fueled by inappropriate attire. Furthermore, this issue sends the wrong message. It normalizes a lack of professionalism and teaches our children that rules are optional. As parents, we strive to teach children and respect boundaries and the importance of appropriate conduct in multiple different settings. When the school doesn't consistently enforce its own dress code, it undermines these lessons and makes our job as parents more difficult. Let's be clear. This affects all students. Boys are subjected to unnecessary distractions, and girls are put in a position where they feel pressured to conform to these revealing trends, or worse, feel uncomfortable and objectified. The school should be safe and focused place, free of these kinds of pressures and distractions. We need a more consistent enforcement for the existing dress code. This isn't about implementing harsher rules, but about upholding the ones that we currently have. I urge the school board and administration to take an immediate step to address this, like you folks address the technology, which is fantastic, by the way. I like to commend everybody for enforcing that. My kid hates it, which is a good thing. I think she got flagged for having headphones, which is amazing. It's working. So whatever you guys doing to enforce this can easily implement already to the rules you already have established. As parents, we support the school in creating an environment where our children can thrive academically and socially. We also expect the school to uphold the standards that we have as a community that we all here have agreed upon. Let's work together to ensure our school remains a place of learning, respect, and appropriate content for every student and every staff member. Thank you folks so much for your attention to this matter, and thank you, and I'm happy to be here, and again, appreciate it. There it is.
Perfect
Thank
timing.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was the only purple sheet that I received from anyone here in the audience, and I'm just checking again. I see nobody online, so I will go ahead and close our public comment period at this time. Thank you for those who participated. Item 3.1 through 3.15 are our consent agenda. Does any board member have anything to pull from this consent agenda?
I don't have anything I want to pull, but I just want to make one comment when everyone's done.
Anyone have anything to pull?
Nothing to pull.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to make a comment that on our consent agenda this evening, there are 6 separate items that are successful school facilities grant board requests. And they total over $1.6 million, which is huge. For perspective, when we get capital funding from the state, we get about $3 million a year from the state. This is a grant program that lays on top of that capital funding that is provided for us to keep our schools operating and to keep our facilities in the condition that they're in. And again, our dynamic facilities team at MAC has been diligently filling out grant applications, which I'm sure takes a heck of a long time. But these are big ticket items, and they have basically increased our capital funding for this year by 50%. And it's just the first week of school. I expect to see more. I'm sure we'll see more because I know how on top of this is, but I couldn't let $1.6 million, half of our capital funding, go without a comment.
Yes.
It's amazing.
It is.
And it's wonderful that all of you guys are on top of this, and I thank you for that. That was all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Okay.
What she said.
What she said.
Second, you want to second
Second
that? Third, and fifth, yes, absolutely. Without any items then having been pulled, may I have a motion?
Certainly. I move that the governing board approve consent agenda items 3.1, the governing board June 24th, 2025 regular meeting minutes as presented. 3.2, the governing board July 21, 2025 special meeting minutes as presented. 3.3, the expense voucher memorandum as presented. 3.4, the field trip request memorandum as presented. 3.5, the fundraising request memorandum as presented. 3.6, the personnel memorandum as presented. 3.7, the acceptance with gratitude of the gifts and donations memorandum as presented. 3.8, the district evaluators as presented. 3.9, the terms and conditions for the acceptance of monies from the School Facilities Division Building Renewal Grant Fund for BRG project number BRG 007493 for the replacement of an air conditioning unit at Esparro Canyon Middle School in the estimated amount of $92,574 as presented. 310, the terms and conditions for the acceptance of monies from the School Facilities Division Building Renewal Grant Fund for BRG project number BRG 007499 for the replacement of an air conditioning unit at Esparro Canyon Middle School in the estimated amount of $40,759 as presented. 3.11, the School Facilities Division change order to Midstate Mechanical for additional repairs to the underground sewer lines at Catalina Foothills High School in the amount of $44,169.65 as presented. 3.12, the School Facilities Division award to Tallinn Mechanical for the replacement of Cooling Tower 3 at Catalina Foothills High School in the amount of $156,256 as presented. And 3.13, the School Facilities Division award to Johnson Controls and CCS Presentation Systems for the fire alarm and intercom/PA systems replacement project at Ventana Vista Elementary School in the amount of $1,254,330.02 as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. New business. Item 4.1 on our agenda. Let me get there. Quick. There's a lot of threes. Item 4.1 is consideration of revisions to policy EB, Environmental Safety Program. This is a first reading presented by Dr. Bartlett.
Yes, so with the close of the legislative session, of course, we have new legislation which prompts new policies for us, or revisions to our policies. So tonight's policy, the first one that I'm going to discuss, is policy EB, which was formerly known as the Environmental and Safety Program, and they've retitled it to just the Safety Program. So House Bill 2074 amended Arizona Revised Statutes 15254 regarding the expansion of purchasing options for school safety programs to include technology, training, and infrastructure improvements. So specifically, schools can submit proposals to support the cost of having a school resource officer, juvenile probation officer, or a school safety officer as long as all requirements are met per ARS 15-154. Our SROs are not funded through these programs. They are funded through the Pima County Sheriff's Department. So while this doesn't pertain to us, we never know when it might. So that is one provision that's added into this policy. The second one, they've defined a school resource officer as a peace officer, a full authority reserve peace officer who is certified by the Arizona Peace Officer Standards and Training Board, or an individual who was previously employed as a peace officer in Arizona, who retired in good standing, and who is assigned to participate in the school safety program by a law enforcement agency pursuant to ARS 15-155. So even though they're retired, they're still attached to a law enforcement agency. And then the definition of school safety officer was included as a school resource officer who is working in an off-duty capacity. And then it added ARS 15-154.02 to the statutes to include requirements for school districts who receive monies for an approved safety program to develop an emergency response plan, and every 5 years to complete a safety assessment using the approved safety assessment provider from the state. Again, we have not applied for those funds. Then there's a few minor changes in the policy as well. The title, as I mentioned earlier, was changed just to be the safety program. And then grammatical changes in the first paragraph were changed just to make for clearer reading. And with that, I will accept any questions.
Are there any questions?
Pretty straightforward. This, like I said, this policy doesn't really apply to us yet because we haven't applied for any of these funds. But if we do, we would have to abide by these new regulations.
I have a couple questions, if I may. So first of all, appreciate that we don't currently need to apply for funds for this. Do you anticipate that changing this fiscal year?
No.
And second of all, with regards to it's the last bullet point on the overview that you just read, the last one prior to other minor changes. So it begins HB 2074 was also added.
Yes.
At dot point. It says every 5 years to complete a school safety assessment using the approved safety assessment provider. I appreciate that we don't need to do that because we don't apply for these funds. However, we do still have school safety assessments.
Yes, we do have
I was just wondering if you could comment on that.
We have a school safety assessment that was completed in 2022, I believe, or 23. Actually, I think it was 23. It was 23. It was from an outside agency and they provided a full comprehensive report for us, which prompted us to then use our bond dollars to begin those safety improvements, which included the entries at our schools, Centegic's crisis alert system, fencing around the perimeters. So we've used that assessment to upgrade all of our securities at each site.
So in some in ways that were visible and some that were not
Correct.
apparent.
Correct.
And
For safety
security
reasons, we're not
reasons.
going to.
And for our newer board members who weren't on the board at the time that this was done, there is a statutory exception for safety related matters to be discussed in executive session because it can be unsafe to discuss vulnerabilities in a public setting. So the safety measures that were taken that would not be obvious, that were not front facing, are known to us.
Which you were provided a copy of our safety
I
assessment.
forgot.
Yes.
Sorry.
They
I
were
forgot.
provided a copy of it.
Okay,
A little light reading.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
And if I recall, the initial expenditure after the safety report was issued was about $5 million
$5 million.
of our capital funding. And then we spent another $500,000, I believe, on the Centegic system. So
Correct.
the investment in safety and security has been significant in just the last couple of years. Do we contemplate a review like this, a comprehensive review like this on any kind of a periodic basis?
Yes, I think it is warranted to do it every 5 years, even though
We don't have
we
to.
don't have to. I think every 5 years is a good time frame to do that because it takes time to, one, get the report done, do the assessment, and then implement those suggestions. So I think 5 years is a good time frame.
Thank you.
Anything else on policy EB?
Just Denise, there's a couple of
Yes.
any typos.
Yep.
I assume someone's probably already
Yes.
identified them too, so I don't need to email you.
Yes.
I had found 3 of them.
Oh, we
Little
only
ones.
found
I'll
one.
send you an email.
Okay.
This was a first reading, so if anything
We'll come back.
comes up between now and then, we will have another opportunity to discuss this in 2 weeks. Okay. Item 4.2, consideration of revisions to policy IHA, Basic Instructional Program. This is a first reading, presented by Cheryl Castro, Executive Director of Curriculum and Assessment. Welcome.
Thank you. So I brought many policies to you that have numerous changes. Policy IHA is not one of those. So Policy IHA, Basic Instructional Program, was revised in accordance with ARS 15.7.10.02 regarding 9/11 education. And aside from 2 very minor corrections to punctuation, the sole change in wording to the policy can be found under observance days on page 2 of the policy or page 81 in your packet. And it specifies that 9/11 education day instruction shall be provided to students in grades 7 through 12. Previously, this instruction was provided to students in grades kindergarten through grade 12. So if you move to page 2 or page 81 of the packet, that paragraph now reads, well, beginning with the second sentence, it's in the middle of the page, under observance page, or days. On 9/11 Education Day, each public school that provides instruction to students in any of grades 7 through 12 shall provide age-appropriate instruction to students in each of grades 7 through 12 on the terrorist attacks of September 11th. That was the change.
Any questions?
Just to be clear, ooh, the microphone, extra sensitive today. This was, the legislature passed this saying that, changing that from K-12 to 7 through 12.
Yes,
So actually removing the requirement for that instruction for K through 6.
yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Do we contemplate keeping any of the instruction in some of the grades closer to grade 7? I know we have to do 7 to 12, but that doesn't mean we couldn't do
I
4th, 5th,
know for a
6th.
fact that they'll be keeping the lessons that they have developed for the lower elementary grades and the mid-elementary grades because they're very generic lessons about kindness and community helpers, policemen, firemen, what they do for occupations. There will probably be something that they keep about that type of kindness at grade 6, but I don't know exactly which lessons might refer to the 9/11 terrorist attacks. The kids who we have now, this is ancient history to them.
It is, yeah.
I know that all of us remember exactly where we were on that day. They don't. It's like talking to them about a battle in the Revolutionary War in some cases, so.
And I guess it struck me that 7th grade, for that very reason, that maybe we might want to think about keeping some of the lessons in 5th and 6th perhaps. Maybe they've cut it off too high, but it's just a thought that I had when I read it. And obviously, I know you guys have considered all of this, but I'm just curious whether or not
I think
any of it will stick.
for lower grades, it's not it was just an add-in,
Yeah,
where at 7th grade, then it starts fitting into the curriculum.
okay.
So it was just kind of a day we had to add in for all of the other grades, and I think making it at 7th grade is probably in alignment with their content standards.
Okay. If there are no other questions about policy IAH, then we will go on, because that was a first reading, as is this next
Thank you.
proposed policy. Thank you. Consideration to revisions of policy JLF, reporting child abuse, child protection. Again, the first reading presented by Associate Superintendent Mindy Westover.
Good evening, President Kraus and board members. Tonight I have a revision to policy JLF, reporting child abuse, child protections. They are recommended to comply with Senate Bill 1493, which amends ARS Title 8, Chapter 4 by adding ARS 8-520.08 and amends ARS Title 15, Chapter 1, Article 5 by adding ARS 15-160.03 to provide guidelines on required identification from a Department of Child Safety caseworker at a school visit. So just to bullet the key points, they include updates to the addition of a new section which outlines procedures when DCS caseworkers visit a school to interview a child. The caseworker must present official DCS identification and may be asked to show a valid driver's license or state-issued ID. Additionally, schools may not retain any personal identifying information but may keep a record of the DCS's identification. And if, for some reason, a caseworker is unable to provide identification, they must give contact information for their DCS office, and the school must verify the caseworker's identity and employments. These revisions bring district policy into full alignment with the updated statute. And with that, I would take any questions. There was a minor clerical issue or typo that was identified that will be corrected on the second read.
There must have been a problem.
That was my question, what's the origin story here? Yeah.
There must have been somebody posing as a DCS worker, I guess, to get into school somewhere, and some legislature got wind of it. Legislator? Who knows?
We have no idea.
I guess.
More than likely, yes. I think there's been a lot of pressure to ensure that people who have contact with kids during the school day are the right people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's,
complies with that.
well, it's kind of actually surprising that you would have to specify that somebody would have to provide identification before they'd be allowed to have a conversation with a student who's not their child.
Yeah.
You know,
That has always been our practice.
right,
I mean,
yes.
always been our practice.
Can you just clarify the last bullet point, please? If the caseworker is unable to provide identification, is the intention here that the school will verify their identity prior to the caseworker being allowed access to that student?
Yes.
Because it
So-
just says they must verify, but that could mean the day
Yeah, no,
after.
I would say they would verify that prior to them getting access to that child, which would mean they'd be on hold. We'd have to call
Yeah,
the
right.
office, verify their employment, their supervisor.
bearing in mind this is a
prior.
first reading and that this is a policy document, potentially consider including that for clarification so that the staff is very
Prior to
acutely
interview-
aware of how
prior
to
to
apply
interviewing the
this.
student, just adding that on to the end.
Yeah, so the last sentence would read prior to permitting. Sure.
Access to the student or
So that would take care of the DPS identification, but without a picture ID.
the
that matches-
DCS identification, you mean?
Yeah, did I say DPS?
You did, yeah, I just wanted to.
Yes, the
too many letters.
DCS identification. That doesn't take care of the picture ID that you generally are gonna pull on somebody to make sure it
Exactly.
matches.
That the person
That
here is the
identification.
person.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that, I agree with your concern there.
I mean, I used to actually do this when I was a CASA many years ago, and they were really, really diligent about it. They always took my driver's license to make sure not only that I was with DCS, but that I was who the DCS card said I was, because I didn't have a photo ID with DCS.
Yes.
So, I don't know how that loophole gets blocked.
Is that last bullet point something that we have to include in the policy? Or is it something that we can consider not including and leaving it as they have to provide a valid driver's license or state-issued ID that includes their photograph?
I can certainly look at what the new statute brought. I'm
Statute.
pretty sure that
Probably
that,
statutory,
it
but
is.
it's maybe not.
We can include more than the statute, we just can't include less than the
Right.
statute.
so I think by adding prior to submitting would add more, and I think that's okay.
Something to consider perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean, if, just putting it out there, if in the instance of that last bullet point, could the DCS office then be requested to email across a photograph? They would have a photograph of their employees on file, for example. There's HR stuff to consider there, but
Right.
just putting that out as a way of addressing your point of like, okay, is this person,
Yeah.
who, is it the same person?
Okay, so you're raising the photo ID concern as a subset of the caseworkers unable to provide identification.
Yeah.
So if
Correct.
they're then verified over the phone, they still need to be able to show.
Well, Eileen's point is that the person can say that they are another person, and DCS
Right.
can verify that that other person
It's supposed to be there.
is supposed to be there, but that doesn't mean
Yeah.
that person is that person, to use
Right.
that person too many times in one sentence.
No, I'm with you.
We
Okay.
got it. I think it's probably fairly rare that
Yeah.
somebody with DCS is going to show up at a school without the ID. So it's, but I get that it's important that we know what to do
Sure.
in case somebody does, because it can happen.
Okay, thank you. We'll take a look at that portion.
Thanks.
Thank you. Item 4.4 is consideration of revisions to policy JLIF, sex offender notification. Again, a first reading presented by Associate Superintendent Meg Westover.
All the fun ones today. Okay, so.
Legislature's been busy.
Yeah. Revisions to policy JLIF, sex offender notification, has been updated to reflect recent changes to Arizona Revised Statute 13-3825. These revisions include the addition of notification requirements related to level 1 sex offenders and an additional notification requirement. So the IHB revisions include Bullet A now includes level 1 sex offenders who have been convicted of a dangerous crime against children. So 2 and 3 was originally there. This is now included level 1, which, looking at the statute, they are less serious offenses for level 1. I wasn't sure if it went 1 to 3 or 3 to.
Yeah,
but
it's still described
yes.
as a dangerous crime against children.
Yes, but it is the level 1, I think there's a level 0, level 1, 2, 3. So 2 and 3 were always there, this added 1. In danger, and also an additional provision in bullet point A requires a notification to a child's school if the offender has legal custody of the child. So we included that bullet point. So do we have questions. I know there were additionally some hyperlinks that need to be added to this. Because we're bringing these to you so efficiently, the statutes haven't actually been updated to the revisions. So as soon as those go into effect, those links will become live. But with that, I'll take questions.
My only comment is in the draft revision of the policy itself, where it's highlighted in yellow. After level 2 offender, in parentheses, you have medium risk. After level 3 offender, you have parentheses, high risk. Two things. One is I would be consistent in how that's positioned. So it says level 2 offender, medium risk, level 3 high risk offender. So I'd be consistent there. And the second point is I would encourage you to consider adding, after the above mentioned level 1 offender, parentheses, X risk, however that level is described. If it's low, or I don't know how it's described.
When I read this, this makes it seem like, you know, convicted of a dangerous crime against children, that it was like a top level or something.
Yeah.
That's a sentencing enhancement.
So I would just add that additional clarity there so that we have the same.
I'll see what I can find. These were the
approach after each
recommendations
description.
from ISBA.
Thank you.
I'll see what I can find.
I had asked a couple of questions of Mindy that I'll repeat. So my question was really about this idea of notifying the school district's obligation, which wasn't changed in the policy, but I don't recall reading it before, when it talks about district procedures and what the obligation is of district to inform the community. And I was concerned about, there was no definition here, nor could I find one, what the community means. And so I asked Mindy if she could explain that, and what procedures do we have, and are they mandatory or are they discretionary? And if discretionary, then what factors are you using? And you provide me with an explanation that I'd ask you to share.
Sure. So the reg does outline some procedures of that we follow, but again, they're fairly broad. So how we take it upon ourselves to look up on the Arizona Department of Public Safety and the Pima County the registry and look up any offenders that have moved into the area or been in the area.
Meaning with our school district boundaries?
With our schools and our school district. So we use a 2-mile radius around each of our schools, which conveniently encompasses our entire district, and also spreads a little bit on the fringe. So we're able to look up all those addresses, and we use those district locations to kind of guide that. And then the list is put together each year, and we put that out to the schools. Just this last month we did. We give them notifications, all the printed out information on each person, and then they have to keep them in a location that can be viewed and can be available to the public, the staff, and students upon request. So they have that information. Occasionally, someone will move into the area, and one of our schools will get like a postcard, for lack of a better term, that says, by the way, and then we update and send out the new information. So we try to stay on top of that, but that is definitely a task we do each year. And then because we have to notify the child's school if the parent has custody, we have to look up to ensure that if we have any of those, and then there's our, we have expectations of how to handle that in the reg.
So you said that this is available for a student to look at, or a parent, or a staff member. And how do they know that this is available for them to look at this?
In some, it's posted in a public place. So in some places they're hanging up on the walls. They are available in most front offices. They might be around a corner but in some places they're predominantly hung in some of the schools.
Anything else on this policy? It will come back to us in 2 weeks. Thank you very much. Agenda item 4.5, is that what we're on already?
Yeah.
Maybe, breezing through. Our first meeting back. Item 4.5 is the approval of delegate and alternate delegate to the Arizona School Boards Association Delegate Assembly. This item is placed on the agenda because at the end of the law conference, the ASBA law conference, there's a delegate assembly where a delegate from each school district is authorized to vote on the policy agenda. You may recall back in May, we received the communication from ASBA that had the outline of the timeline, and we as a board had an opportunity but did not submit any proposals to change the what's it called?
The draft political agenda.
Thank you. The draft political agenda. This is a meeting that's going to take place on Saturday, September 6th, 2025, but it takes place in person, but there's also a remote option. So, with that, is there anyone who would like to volunteer to be our delegate to the to this meeting, to this business meeting?
Everybody going to the law conference?
I am not, I'm gonna be out of town.
I'll be there. You'll be there.
I'd have to be back on Friday, so I could do this, but I'd have to be the remote option.
Do either of you have any interest in doing it, being new board members? I don't mean it
I
but
would
as
need to
bluntly
be-
as it sounded.
I would need to be the alternate based
Okay.
on some things going on in my life now.
Okay, all right.
I can commit to it as long as it's remote.
It is remote.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not available.
Okay, are you comfortable with that, Jacqueline, being the
Yeah,
alternate?
and if that happens, I will be doing it remotely as well.
Remote as well.
Okay, sounds great. Then, thank you both very much, and I think we've all done it before. If you have any questions in advance, we're happy to answer.
Probably have to do a
Need a
motion.
motion on that one?
Yeah, it's at the, yes, and it's at the bottom of this is an action item for this evening, and I am looking for a motion, please.
I move the governing board approve Tom Logue as the ASB delegate and Jacqueline DeVoley as the alternate delegate to the ASBA Delegate Assembly.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thanks. I think the way it works is that that Ms. Sams will submit the names to ASBA, and then you'll get the documents. Well, it's this document in advance. So
There'll be extra
Dial
stuff
the
in your
details.
packet when you check in at the law conference as well. And I'm assuming there'll be instructions on how to attend remotely also.
I've done it remotely at least once, and
Really, I
I
thought
I
last
have.
year was the first time that they did remote, and I thought Doug did it, but maybe you're
No,
right.
I've done something remote.
Have
It may
you?
have been
They
the
started it
business.
several years ago.
I have done several of
Yeah.
them in person.
I've
Actually,
done them in person too.
they're very interesting.
Yeah.
You know, you'll encounter some people who really, really like to contribute, which can bog down the process. But honestly, I do think that the process is constructive and interesting to go through. So,
Yeah, I agree. So for example, I mean, I remember learning, you know, that rural school districts, for example, have very different
very different
challenges and
approaches.
needs. And so, for example, when there was a big discussion about an issue of should the mandatory attendance, high school attendance, be raised to 18, you know, there was a lot of pushback from rural communities talking about what that would, you know, what that would pose to them. It was very enlightening. It's really, I think it's a good opportunity to hear what's important in other parts of
Statewide.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for maybe doing that.
The
Don't get
only-
sick.
It's remote.
Jacqueline,
I can be
you're
sick
gonna know
remotely. The only regret I have is that's also the morning that the Tucson Youth on Their Own open house is.
Oh,
If anyone is available for that, sounds like that's going to be great.
yeah. I'm gonna be out of town still.
Still on an airplane.
Unfortunately,
What are you gonna do?
unfortunately. Thank you both. Item 5.1 is our standard item that permits us to discuss discuss a report on any Arizona legislative or governmental activity that may be affecting our work. Does anybody have anything to discuss under that agenda item?
Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm getting our meetings mixed up, but I believe since last time we met, the additional funds have been released.
They have.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Oh.
Good point.
Even the funds that were withheld in the spring last year,
Yeah.
that 40%, we've received those, and the
Good.
additional funds have been released, yes.
Also
very
So
good
there's
news.
nothing outstanding?
There's nothing outstanding.
Good.
fantastic.
That's really great.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding us.
I'm getting all our meetings mixed up. I can't
And
remember
we're
if
just
we had
beginning.
already
It was in the
discussed
week in
that or
review.
not.
It was in the week in review.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Good to have it on the record, though.
Yes, it is.
Item 6.1 is any future agenda items. Requests for future agenda items.
Who's on for agenda planning? Can you remind us?
Amy and
We
I
are.
tomorrow at the district at 10, yes?
10 o'clock in
Correct.
person.
Yep.
Awesome.
There.
You there? So the next item on the agenda is an executive session, and before we move into making that formal, let me just let any viewing audience now or later know that I assume the motion will be approved to go into executive session. No action will be taken when we come out of executive session except to move to adjourn. And so that our technology staff does not need to stay while we have our executive session. We will end the live streaming after the motion is approved to move into executive session. Please be assured that no business will be discussed when we return except for our adjournment. So with that, item 7.1 is a request for the governing board to move into executive session. And pursuant to ARS 38-431-03A1, discussion or consideration of employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, demotion, dismissal, salaries, discipline, or resignation of a public official, appointee, or employee of any public body. In this case, it's the performance expectation of the superintendent. Is there a motion to move into executive session, please?
I move that the governing board approve to move into executive session for discussion of personnel pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A1 as presented.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So we're going to stop the live stream, excuse unauthorized personnel. So we'll take